Here with us now is Republican Congresswoman Cammack of Florida. Congresswoman, welcome back. Always good to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You know Charlie personally. We're looking ahead to Sunday's memorial. What are you thinking about?
You know, it's an emotional time. It still feels so raw. The emotions hit you in waves. My chief of staff is named Charlie, and multiple times a day I go to send a text message and I type in CHA and Charlie Kirk's name and photo pops up. And I find myself going back through text messages that we've exchanged over the years. And, just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about a bill, and it's heartbreaking. The tribute that's going to be paid to Charlie tomorrow is going to be one that I think will just live in people's memory. He impacted so many people, and really, I think he was a voice for our generation. It's going to be something pretty remarkable. But of course, we're always very worried, and certainly now in the aftermath, concerned about the security. The temperature in the country, it's just way too high, and multiple people are experiencing more threats than they ever have, myself included. And so my thoughts and prayers are with everybody, and I'm hoping that tomorrow is about honoring his legacy, and instead of turning into another threat or security situation.
Well, first, you lost a friend. We're all seeing the headlines, so I'm sorry for your loss. And you mentioned the heightened temperature when it comes to political rhetoric. I do want to talk about that. You yourself, you just mentioned, received death threats. Now, as a Republican, what do you believe your party can do to help tone down the temperature in politics?
Well, I think everyone has a role to play. It was really disappointing that just yesterday we put a resolution on the House floor honoring his legacy and the work that he did to really start the debate and keep the conversation going. That was really what he was known for, was going into college campuses, sometimes very hostile environments, but he was never hateful. He was always trying to have a conversation, and it's okay to have a difference of opinion, but that was what he was trying to do, was keep the conversation in the country going. He himself said, once the conversation starts, nothing good can come of that. That's when violence begins. And so I was really disappointed to see not dozens, but nearly 100 of my Democrat colleagues vote against that resolution. When we saw Democrats targeted in Minnesota, assassinated, we all collectively, unanimously did a resolution honoring their service and their legacy. And so it just seems a bit one-sided right now, which is unfortunate. I have been very disappointed with what I've seen out of some of my counterparts on the left. But then I think there's also some folks that deserve a shout out. People like Debbie Dingell, a Democrat from Michigan. She showed up at the vigil that we hosted in the U.S. Capitol, and her and I have exchanged so many conversations about why it's so important we come together as Americans first. That's what Charlie would have wanted. He would have wanted us to keep the conversation going instead of shouting each other down and making it so that it's impossible to have a common sense conversation.
What can Republicans do to contribute to that as well? It's not just Democrats.
Well, certainly, like I just said, we hosted a vigil. Only 6 Democrats showed up. We put a resolution on the floor.
Majority
half the Congress of the Democrats decided to vote against it. I think Republicans are trying to put things out there that we can all come together on. And again, you have to have a willing partner in the conversation. Charlie was trying to do that across the country. So what we can do is honor that legacy of keeping the conversation going, working in a way that keeps people engaged rather than marginalizing them. Certainly, there's always going to be extremes on both sides. That goes without saying. But we need to make sure that everyone feels like they have a place at the table and a voice that needs to be heard. And that's why I think silencing people, it's inappropriate, right? And that's what we've seen for years. It's the era of entertainment that has now hit that fever pitch. It's our job to focus on what brings us together, because I do believe that there's far more that unites us than divides us. And when you're dealing in the era of entertainment, you can't subscribe to the race that is the top of Mount Clickmore, right? The furiousness on social media. Everybody needs to know that you have to be responsible for the things that you say, not just in person, but online as well. So everyone needs to just take a page out of Charlie's playbook and recognize that we have a country to save, and it's time to come together as Americans first.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.